Hi, Spots and Cheap Pups. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Silicon Steve Valley with and we are talking about the world of professional wrestling or sports entertainment, depending on what you're smoking. La-di-da-di, our guy, LA Knight, had a showdown, a promo showdown with one of the strongest promo guys in WWE. He always gives a solid B+ to an A in terms of his promo, for the most part. The Miz. And very good promo from both guys. And LA Knight over is all hell. And this was a good opportunity to kind of peek behind who LA Knight is, because we haven't really seen that story quite as much yet, where Miz was able to lay down how his body of work and what he did in comparison. They've both been in the business for the same amount of time, 20 years. And your thoughts about how those story kind of unfolded as the promo came out, as the Miz called out LA Knight for throwing him over the top rope during the Battle Royal.
It was a Slim Jim Battle Royal, which makes a big difference.
Makes you want to poke myself. Never mind.
The thing is, where it makes a difference is LA Knight is like the spokesperson for Slim Jim now, a la Randy Macho Man Savage.
Which was not an Attitude Era guy. So choke on that, dicks.
Exactly. He also transcends the, what would you call it, the Hogan era, the steroid era?
I think you call it the golden age, don't you?
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah,
but he was also during the new generation.
So LA Knight is just transcending another 2 generations, including the Attitude Era. So top-notch talent, you got to call it the way we see it here.
Well, let's get into it. So the Miz comes out and he just basically calls out LA Knight. Miz does his no one respects me thing. And so what are some of your highlights? Sorry about that. I cut you off.
It's Miz is running down almost his own career. We all, know that he wasn't accepted. Certain wrestlers did like disgusting things to him in terms of his luggage and all that sort of stuff. They used to make him get dressed in a closet. I mean, this is hazing beyond hazing. And it's one of those things that did back in the day, especially because he didn't pay his dues. He was a reality star. Vince was looking at him as if he was a paralegal and saw this like rising star that he could just interject into the locker room. And the Undertaker and company were like, oh, hell no, right? Miz did not have it easy. He literally had to like earn his dues within WWE. And over 20 years or so now, the Miz has established himself as one of the finer talents that WWE probably has had in terms of being homegrown, et cetera, et cetera. And when I say that, a lot of it is involving his ability to cut promos. The Miz is a natural on the mic. His A+ game. His in-ring stuff, you and I have talked about it before, extremely safe. Not necessarily the most exciting. You could almost, set your watch to it in terms of what happens, when it happens, et cetera, et cetera. Nevertheless, throughout his career, he's really established himself as quite a star, going from a reality show to having his own show with his quote-unquote hot wife. He's headlined WrestleMania. We all know his resume. He's done pretty damn well for himself. Now you have the megastar in front of him. The fans have strapped LA Knight on their back, and they are carrying him up the mountain. So now this is like the first true test that we're seeing with LA Knight, in which it's personality versus personality. It's not something paranormal like what he was doing Bray Wyatt, and he actually owned Bray Wyatt. And now we have a situation where we have 2 great talkers in WWE sizing each other up and actually doing sort of a promo battle like that. Maybe even MJF would have smirked at. And there was a lot of truth to what each of them said. I mean, the line about that Miz mentioned, where he referred to LA Knight as an Attitude Era cosplayer, been one of the biggest critiques of LA Knight by not only some fans, but also other wrestlers. And it's an interesting little debate within the community. This, I'm just like sort of smirking, even though I'm not like looking forward to their match. It's like, okay, I want to see what they do with each other leading up to this match. And this can only really just propel LA Knight upward and onward. It's a good thing. I felt it was a good thing, even though it's like, there's no title involved. This is off a SummerSlam win, as you mentioned, Battle Royale, which you and I both know it's not necessarily what he should have been doing there. This is making lemonade out of those lemons, finally. And I just hope that it continues onward and upward. And now, as you made the observation, your LA Knight wasn't on SmackDown; he was on Raw. So now I'm starting to wonder if he's going to start floating back and forth to both shows, and people are now going to be like more interested in tuning in. So yeah, I was cool with the segment. I think this is progress in terms of LA Knight, especially. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, especially on the mic.
Yeah, I hope they have a little bit of a program here, because you could have literally 2 or 3 weeks of just promos, a segment. They could really take this as an opportunity for LA Knight to have his own show on. He had his show. Eli Drake had his own show. I think it was called Facts of Life. So he can have his own television program, a la Miz TV and, Piper's Pit and the whole nine and whoever else. So this is an opportunity to expand upon his character, because that's what they got to do. They start having to give this guy some moments to really sneak in, because they want more moments from him. They haven't really gotten many. This was the first glimpse of that. And I thought what was one of the best things that LA Knight said was, this company, and I'm paraphrasing, this company backed a lot of the wrong horses, and you're definitely one of them. And 100%, because you could talk about Miz's resume all you want. You can. Fact of the matter, he has no business, never has he had any business ever to headline a WrestleMania. That he is one of the biggest disasters to have ever done it. It's considered one of the worst WrestleMania main events of all time by a lot of people in the business who I've even trained with. So you know how big they are.
Yeah, it's huge.
It wasn't Ace Austin. RJR, that was his fucking name. For LA Knight to echo a lot of those frustrations that fans have had. I mean, look, honestly, does anyone really think Mike Mizanin should have ever headlined WrestleMania? So to your point, he has had a great career, only double Grand Slam champion of all time, which is incredible if you think about that. Like the first one ever, and those titles have been split up for 20 years. And the who's who, I mean, John Cena didn't do it, CM Punk didn't do it, Batista didn't do it, Randy Orton, no one did it but The Miz. So that's incredible. It's probably because the other guys, once they got to the main event level, they didn't need the Intercontinental title or the U.S. title again, where Miz got to that level, and then, he's not a main eventer, he never was again. And he, by a fluke, won the title because they screwed up the Money in the Bank a couple years ago, and then he had the title for less than 24 hours, or just over 24 hours, whatever the case may have been. When The Miz talks about his resume, at the end of the day, it's just because Vince McMahon had a hard-on for him for whatever reason, in a positive way. To your point, like, he was a paralegal. So it was really
paralegal.
And you also the difference between the two stories. LA Knight, a guy who had to sleep in his car, had to sleep and share a room with John Moxley. Can you fucking believe that? Ooh.
You realize how gross that was, right?
The amount of cocaine that must have been happening in about 15 years ago must have been incredible. And I wish I was there. I have to be honest with you. But that's not the point. The point is that his journey was tough because he never compromised who he was the entire time. In fact, he turned WWE down a couple of times in the late 2000 teens. LA Knight has always believed in himself, and he's always believed that he was not one guy to be pushed around. And so there was a lot of truth to that promo. And to this day, there's still truth to it, because, you could tell some of the things he said on social media, the rumors that he's not someone that gets along with easily backstage. He's probably a guy that's not going to do bullshit. And there's a lot of wrestlers that have drawn that line. I'm not going to do stupid shit. Dean Ambrose didn't do that. Then he bitched about it when he was on a podcast. Certain guys are just not going to do certain shit, and if you don't like it, send me home. And that's what happened with a lot of different guys, such as Miro and so forth. So when they take that stand, now you have another place to go. Worst case, and LA Knight's contract is coming up, so completely different than The Miz. The Miz did have a hard part going up, but he's literally the guy that did anything that Vince McMahon said he did. And he, goddamn it, this is the one thing, whether you love him or you hate him, he is the quintessential sports entertainer. He's not a pro wrestler. He'll tell you he's not a pro wrestler. He is a sports entertainer, and he is literally the epitome of it. Good, bad, or indifferent, that's who he is. Me, I like a pro wrestler, and I like LA Knight.
Ladies and gentlemen, hit that subscribe button, and thank you for watching High Spots and Cheap Pops. And here endeth the lesson.